trap your way. You'll be given one word and you will have to talk a minimum of 30 seconds on that particular word. It shouldn't make sense and it should be humorous.
Now, ramp up is, since I'm trying not to make any sense, ramp up is word most unlike ice cream. Because ice cream comes in many flavors, it comes in vanilla chocolate flavor. Whereas ramp up is just a word, means like coming to terms with whatever you have to understand, or like if you join some more, like mean like you don't know what you're doing. So, and
okay. So next is.
Ever since I was a little child, I've always wanted to play with cow dung. It's just me and cow dung. What else about cow dung? Yeah, I love cow dung.
So one of the things that people tell me when they often come to the IEC from corporate is, geez, you know, the energy, the interactions, the fun, the camaraderie that I see here reminds me of Sun 15 years ago. You know, they say this is how Sun used to be. We just got heavily corporatized, you know, which is we started becoming silos, we started going to committees and meetings, and out here people just stop by and just do things. You know, this cross-teaming thing where you guys don't care about which little group you belong is amazing.
Vijay, I have a nice word for you. No. Cater.
My normal stuff itself doesn't make sense. I'm just going to go continue doing the same thing. Caterer. Okay. Catering, caterer, catering, caterer. The food that we cater is wonderful. "700 people, 70 different tasks. I get people to work together. Teams rarely have trouble working with other teams. They resolve conflicts well. They openly talk about issues. Right? They talk a little too much sometimes. I try to tell them there's certain things that are private, guys. But nevertheless, that's unique, I think. And that, I think, is value add to the base Sun culture of the individual. So the base Sun culture is the individual. Here I'm talking about strong individuals, strong teaming.
"1982 was a long time ago. It was a pretty interesting and different time. 4 kids, a wife, and who knows how many billions and tens of thousands of employees ago."
Actually, when Scott and Vinod came to see me, I was working in my office programming, and I put them in a chair in the corner and kind of waited for the adults to show up.
There were 4 of us. We were all 27. I had 3 years business experience, which was more than the other 3 founders combined. And you heard the phrase, "ignorance is bliss." We were thrilled to death.
While you want to have in a global company that's successful, you want to have a single culture permeate across. So the theme is, you walk into the IEC, you should not feel like you're in India. You should feel like you're in Sun. You're almost like in a space warp where you don't know that you're actually sitting in Bangalore in Langford Road. You know, it almost seems like Santa Clara. But having said that, I don't believe in just masking out all the local value. If India has to survive and succeed, if IEC has to shine in the global Sun arena, it's got to make sure that it adds value to that base culture.
What we'll do is get exposed name, will return a table name.
Table name dot table name, you want to return that.
We will do a table name dot get table name.
Calling program might expect it to have schema name dot table name, but this might not return it. When you do a table name dot get table name, it will just give you the table name.
I will do some search and then I will call you.
Okay. But the scenario is system has to be started up, and then if you just go to the admin tool and select the server and click on the recover transactions.
वो तो CLS में था ना, that इसमें नहीं है क्या? तो फिर इतने जेट से क्यों आ रहा है?
देख
नहीं शायद क्या होता है मालूम है ये अभी लिंक बनाता है सर when you actually start making the package it actually FTPs everything तब lazily not now
Vikas, you got C++?
चलो
This guy gave you? Huh?
Most engineers here, you will see them coming in jeans on a Monday. There is no formality in the way we dress, there's no formality in the way we talk to each other. So, you address people by first names, you talk to your manager about anything and everything under the sun. Be prepared to work in the sun environment. Yeah? The first and biggest one is really about change.
It's against human behavior because we all like status quo. We don't want things to change. If we have a set routine in a day, if anybody or anything comes in the way, we feel a dissonance in the mind, right? But the fact of the matter is that even though as human beings we don't like change, the people who succeed are the ones who learn how to manage change and adopt change.
You've all been around long enough to know that you're in for one heck of a rocket ride here. One thing we can promise everybody is that things will change above, below, and around you faster than any other place that you've ever belonged to, and we're pretty excited about that. We need to work as a team. Everybody needs to get along, communicate, collaborate, and move in the same direction. That's what Thriving at Sun is all about, is working together as a team. There's a whole bunch of keys that you're going to be learning about in this class to Thriving at Sun. I'd like to go through a few of them that are really near and dear to my heart, and I believe are key to the success of this company. I want the best people, no matter who they are or where they came from. And if you can't deal with that, this is just the wrong place. But I want a commonality of purpose around that diversity of folks. There's times to break the rules and there are times not to. And when it comes to the law of the land, what's right and what's wrong, and you know the difference, never, ever, ever break the laws of the land or do something that's not right. And I guess my last message to you is pay attention here, but when you get out, go out and do what we require of all employees, and that's to go out and kick some butt and have some fun. Thanks for listening. One of the key aspects of Sun has always been it's okay to have fun. You can be as weirded and different and off the wall as you want, but you better have a commonality of purpose or it isn't going to work.
More than anything, I think what comes through is the just unabashed humor, the irreverence, the self-deprecating view of the world. It's just great fun. It's just good, clean fun.
April Fool's jokes have been a big part of our history.
There was a sequence of April Fool's jokes like office and pond, pond and office, car and office, car and pond.
They went over to Bill Joy's house in the middle of the night and picked out, stole his car, literally, brought it to the office and put it in this big open field, filled it up with water, and luckily, because it was such a beautiful car, they put a plank underneath. It seems he had to go out in a boat to retrieve his car. That's the kind of fun that I guess engineers tend to have.
So in Sun, it's not good enough to just make $1 million out of a product being sold. People have to think it's cool, right? Some of that is actually part of the culture that's growing here. You got to have that passion, right? You're part of this Sun entity, the Sun family. And tomorrow, you never know, right? One of you could do something amazing that could change the face of this whole thing. Feel that confidence, right? You can do anything. I have no idea who's going to end up in amazing terms and who's going to end up having a great career. It's all within you. And everything's possible. We don't for a moment feel that this is away from headquarters, so far away. All functions are here, right? And the opportunity is all yours. What you make of it is entirely up to you.
Clarifications and directions are there on these sheets. There is an overall goal that's given to you, and then you figure out how to achieve it. A lot of people feel very lost with that, and they expect a lot of hand-holding. The new model organizations don't encourage that. They really say, control your own destiny. Okay, shop will be open for another 8 minutes, and that's it?
And then 4 pencils.
Who's giving me the money? It depends on that. Because they're arguing.
Our guard.
Okay, hold. Someone hold. What we've also heard from a lot of employees who've left the organization and have wanted to come back is simply because they've gotten so used to this kind of free space that they don't really want to go to any other. Let's go. Come on, customer side. Come on, come on.
That we need to protect some critical information which is in a very delicate shell.
Maybe higher than the others competitors, but it seems to be more robust. And
there is a cyclone. It's not
hopefully it will hold. Only thing is we haven't no testing done, so come on, give me a break. Wow! Good. Yeah, that's it. We'll ship it.
Let's go back.
Yeah.
Take the pencils. You copied our design.
Yeah,
The best way to learn is when you fall and get up. So we don't believe in telling you these are the do's and the don'ts. Most of the time the employees figure out and they learn much more strongly instead of somebody telling them or dictating to them or mandating that thou shalt behave like this or thou shalt do this and thou shalt not do that.
To do innovation and creativity, you need to provide people a lot of freedom. Constraints, rigorous things don't work very well. So the Sun culture has kind of evolved in a model to kind of support that thinking of innovation and creativity.
Both the phones are... Oh, okay. Yeah. 418.
It's going.
It's going actually. 42.
Hello?
Hello, is it Main Street USA conference room?
This is Main Street USA, yes.
Oh, Jeet is there anyway.
Hi,
Murthy.
Jeet. Good evening. This is
We could connect
Sahu
Jyoti.
from
Okay.
India.
Okay.
Yeah, we are trying to reach you 5 minutes back. The phone always came engaged.
Hi, Jeet.
Yes. Hi, Jeet. We are online.
Can you see us? Okay. Good. Excellent.
I had a great visit and I want to plan my next one already. If I didn't have a little kid, I would probably be just staying in Bangalore for a little while. No, I will tell you, this is, I don't know, my 100th project or something, where you always finish the project, you start postmortem or lessons learned or whatever euphemism you use, and people sit down and they say all these things are wrong and notes get taken, email gets sent out and nothing happens. We need to change the way we do in this group product development, or how do we interact on testing. So ideas look better. I want kind of some feedback, what kind of things were wrong that we can fix quickly. And I don't want a list of 200 things, but 5 or 6 that I actually can say, you can say, we are holding you guys accountable to make sure these get fixed.
Okay.
Yes.
We know who to catch now.
Yes. I just want you to know, you don't blame me anymore. It's all his fault.
You'll release money, right?
You will release money because every time we ask for something, he says Jeet has to approve. So.
Unfortunately, that is true. That part is.
I was worried that maybe there will be people who may not be able to question authority. That was a concern of mine. That's not the case. There are people here who are able to question in decisions, people like me make.
Look at the analyst reports, do analysis, build up something, and then that's how our product features come across. So those kind of things we should plan long term and figure out resources now of how to deal with that stuff.
In the US, an effective manager is one who sets the direction, the vision, and the mission, gives people clear goals, and lets them go. Right? The less you get in the way, the better. Over here, they need to get that feedback. They need to be able to give feedback. They need to be able to share. They need to come together and understand how the team is doing. Over there, it's not about hampering the internal energy that's coming out. Over here, it's how you collect the energy and use that to drive the team up. So I call this management high touch.
Oh, you are leaving Bangalore?
I'm going to Kolkata.
Hey, good man. I don't think this kind of culture and work environment will be there in anywhere else. So my expectations are very low.
He's open to opening a center in Kolkata. So if Sun opens, then
It may not be as good as Bangalore, but definitely it's likely to improve a lot in the next few years. So at least I have to hope that way.
And we haven't had a lot of chance to actually work with Monojit in the App Server team here. But in 7.1, he's done a lot of work on the SFSB part. So, and even before that in 6.5. So actually, he's got a lot of variety of experience in different App Server areas. We will miss, although we wouldn't have felt it in the 8.1 time frame, we will definitely miss you, Monojit. So, if ever you feel things work out and you don't find Calcutta good, right, you know what to do. Yeah. All the best, Anand. Thanks. Thank you.
When you go talk to the engineers, they talk about breaking the rules, working laterally, being able to make change happen, asking any question, exactly, not hierarchical, right? They can come down and ask me or ask God, it's no issue. The key is, at the same time, having the proper structure to be able to reliably deliver.
Let's face it, we've gotten bloody simple about what we're going to try to accomplish here. We're going to make money, we're going to grow, we're going to make sure that we re-enlist the champions that we've traditionally had in our partner base, developer base, customer base. It's not that there aren't other things that we do that aren't important too, but we've chosen 8 areas that we feel like really have revenue driving potential. If you think about making money in that objective, from my perspective and where Sun is right now, the way you do that is with a really motivated team. Think about World Cup champion in football. Those teams win by having a really, really highly motivated and skilled team where everybody knows their position and knows how they contribute to the team effort. You have a goalie who plays their position, forwards, etc., defenders. If anybody gets mixed up about which position they're in or how they contribute to the team, we've got trouble. The World Cup is not going to be attainable. The web services team that I spent 2 days with is 600 people. 600 people who wake up in the morning and don't eat at night unless they get software sales of our products.
We're a $11.5 billion company producing products that are mission critical for our customers. They depend on our stuff in order to run their businesses. So we have to be absolutely methodical in meeting that requirement. And at the same time, how do you motivate a whole bunch of thinkers who wouldn't want to go work for a company that tells them exactly what to do?
When I come here, I get energized. You guys have energy. You're growing. You're excited. You have products that matter. You can't find a place to sit. It all generates adrenaline, right? There's a few things. I think you all know there's a salary adjustment coming this month. So a little post-Diwali present. Everybody will get that next week. I think that's important, and again, a continuing recognition that this company believes this place is important, that you're of value, and that we're going to be competitive. Catch the confidence flu, spread it around to your friends, it's a good thing, and enjoy the Sun turnaround. It's happening. Appreciate it. Thank you.
The ability to express an idea is just as important as the idea itself. What do we mean by that? It can be a great idea, but it can be lost because we're not expressing it properly. So if I was to say to you, Rajesh, it's great to see you. I haven't seen you in ages. Rajesh, it's great to see you! I haven't seen you in ages! What was the difference between those two messages? Enthusiasm? Passion? Emotion? Belief? Belief, that's a huge one, Mayank. So well done on that. The first message, I could care less whether I saw Rajesh. In fact, Rajesh, I don't particularly like you. You're not a very nice person. You didn't believe the first message. You believed the second message. A key ingredient to effective communicating is believability. How many of you have sat through presentations and gone, 55% of our message, visual. 38% of our message, vocal, the voice we use. 7% verbal, the words.
The feedback that we were getting from managers, remote managers specifically, was that there was a lot of conflict simply because of the way we communicated with each other. So these classes were designed keeping some of this feedback in mind.
What do we usually do instead of pausing? Basically, that's my new non-word since moving to India, by the way, so thanks for that, basically. Probably is another one that really scared me when I got here. Actually, like, so, okay, and especially
There are lots and lots of different cultures within India alone. If you take India as a country, you've got lots and lots of different states, you've got lots of different cultures, lots of different languages, different types of food. So even when you take India alone, there may be an Indian culture, but then when you look inside India, there's lots of different cultures. Now, the first thing to think about when we talk about culture is that there's no right or wrong when it comes to culture. There are just differences, and that's what we want to just spend a little bit of time talking about. What is the difference in expectations? What is the difference in assumptions, in an opinion, in a value, an attitude, or belief? Now, we don't know until we start to build the relationships. So when we talk about the cross-cultural awareness, what we need you guys to be more is just to be more aware that there may be differences in opinions, there may be differences in values. If that affects how we build relationships, then we need to be aware of it. If it doesn't, then it's just a difference. If there's a difference, for example, in the food that I eat, that's just a difference. So what? That doesn't really impact on business. So when you come up against a difference, what I want you to say to yourself is what, so what, now what? Get into a habit of saying, what's the difference, so what, now what? Is it going to impact on us building a relationship, doing work? Yes, okay, and then maybe I need to adjust slightly. If it's not, it's just a difference.
Being able to work with different types of people. I mean, culture is one aspect of that. Personality is another. Organizational culture is another. But yes, having an awareness of how culture may impact our communication style, the way we structure and organize our relationships, the kind of focus we have on time and durations and so on. So those are all elements that are looked at as well. The whole idea of MBTI is based on the theory of Carl Jung. It asserts that differences are inborn, and that is crucial. So the differences that we're going to look at, it's indicated that they are right from birth, and they result in us developing preferences. So you will see that there are 16 ways of being normal. In other words, there are 16 potential MBTI personality types, all right? You could be any one of those. Extroversion, introversion, sensing and intuition, thinking and feeling, and judging and perceiving. And you can come out any one of those combinations. So that gives you 16 types. Put an E next to the letter beside the J. All right? If you're a P, put an E next to the letter furthest away. Now the way you decide which is the dominant is if you're an E, it's an E. If you're an I, it's the I. I'm an ENFP. And I have a colleague, and he's an ENFJ. You know, extrovert intuitives love training. They love the idea of people development and concepts and so on. I've just got to make sure I keep it practical enough. If you're S, you're probably thinking, you know what? The concept may be wonderful, but who cares? How do I use it?
I'm coming from that point, the people who are very successful and like in social field you are.
if you look to Gandhi,
Right.
okay, so you're trying to figure out what type of personality he was, what he has done.
In the corporate world, and believe you me, that's not everyone's idea of success, but if we look in the corporate world, we will see certain types seem to do well. Typically, they would have said a person who was an extrovert, sensing, thinking, judging type of person, that's an ESTJ, would have been your classic corporate type of person. Well, of course, if you look at technical industries or technology-based industries, you would expect probably to have quite a lot of people have a preference for introversion, because introversion is more about going into your head. Introverts tend to energize or re-energize or get excitement from going inside into the inner world of thought and contemplation. This is a natural inborn preference, stimulated by the outward environment versus stimulated by the inward environment.
You've got to never feel like you're set in a rut, right? It's always about lateral thinking. So getting that as a culture, encouraging that in our forums, encouraging and rewarding such behavior through our Excellence Awards, setting up initiatives where people can team and go solve them, the Banyan tree, all those are examples of how we encourage that, right? How we make that the du jour in IEC.
What do you all think of this initiative? Where do you see it going? Any thoughts that you have in terms of Operation Banyan Tree and in terms of your involvement?
Last quarter, right, when we wanted to take the team out to a particular place, right, we had to pay them the minimum size, of charges, right. So our team alone could not actually bring up that number, right. Then, if we have some, something like this, so maybe 2 or 3 teams can pull together, they can get a better bargain.
Are we supposed to go to the managers and ask them their preferences about the teams that they like to go to, or probably directly go to the admins and ask, are you guys scheduling something? Probably we can join the other team with you guys or something.
One is, of course, talk to the managers, but let's figure out how we can do that. The other is to kind of talk to people whom you know in that team. Correct. And say, what do you think of this idea? And maybe you can bring it up in your team meeting, and let's kind of look at it. So it's really about this whole cross-fertilization process that we're talking about. So how do you do that?
So basic idea is getting people together from different teams.
Yes. Yeah.
They could be even doing some fun or anything else.
Yes.
Okay.
We are starting with a game.
Who's leaving? Hey, you have a pen, so. You have a pen? No. Okay. If you want second ticket, you can buy. I'll give you
$100 a piece.
No. It's 10 rupees a piece.
Rita?
So I'll be writing all the numbers that I call out here. So you can't cheat that way.
Keep it here.
Okay, so let's start. 7 and 7, 77.
Hey, you should see when you're
Doesn't
picking.
matter, I'm just picking it. Yeah. Okay, so there's a fat lady and a 0, 80.
In India, people are known for socializing at work. It's important for them, right, as a way of feeling satisfied at work. It's not about, just getting my work done, doing some amazing innovations, being recognized for it and going home. It's about sharing. It's about having fun while you're doing work.
40. Okay, this is 24.
24.
You're not allowed probably 2 numbers out of the number 3.
Oh, I got 5.
Oh, great.
Oh, Bogey.
Hey, you should strike it off and see it otherwise. Okay, I'm going to verify.
Oh, I know.
How can you see
So I think this epitomizes Sun's real theme. You know, it's about what Scott says is kick butt, have fun. You know, he's been saying that 23 years. It's true here.
Julian, one more thing. Request for suggest a greeting.
We can't do a whole bunch of wallpapers for all our demos and stuff like that.
Wireless developer has a huge.
No, this is free stuff.
For free stuff.
Oh, you can't sell free stuff. You can't sell free stuff.
No, we're not selling it. Content is free technically, transport is free technically, and we're making money on it. That's a perfect service to have.
My suggestion is don't go there. Let's go the other route, which is a priced premium greeting, which is Java based.
It's not device specific. I mean, you create a greeting.
The greeting has to be generic. Okay. I created on one device, I view it on the other device, we take care of these issues.
You take care of the
Have to be. We are done for simple. That's what Rajesh is saying. We are doing it for thumbnails for other games.
We have to figure out how to get placement and click-throughs in a fiercely competitive situation where the big greeting players are there. So it has to be something more than that. You got to think about it. Think about something more. One of the possible things is having this going back to this games thing, because games always gives you a chance to get into a section where no greeting guys are there. In games and tones, greeting guys will not be there. Phones are changing from becoming the devices that people speak to a device through which you can do various activity. For example, you use phones today to browse, to access web pages. You use phones to play games. You see video clips on the phones. Phones are being used for cameras, and phones also do music. So it's becoming an environment through which users can get information, communication, entertainment, etc. Why don't you take one really cheap game that works on all devices and say free game and put it into this? Just so it goes into game.
Tic-tac-toe with hearts.
Good one! Why? Can we make a simple tic-tac-toe with hearts and what kind of crosses?
Mistletoe.
Hearts and arrows, something like that, okay?
We can say you could also gift a game along with it. That's the best thing I can think of. And you give a catalog of 5 games. Popular games, good games.
And try to make it thematic. I'm saying it's the same game that you can give for free. You can choose from 5 greetings. But with each, you get to send the same game.
You can't give game free.
Fine. I'm saying same game, which is also Valentine's Day.
It's not just a Valentine's service.
You can start with a Valentine's Day service and then change the fresh game.
And you want to have a subscription option in addition to per use option, where you can send unlimited greetings. Same 5 content greetings I have, I might send it 50 times.
Millions of people.
Yeah, it's okay. So we don't have to create, there's no pressure to acquire content in a hurry. You know what I'm saying? So it's got beautiful different rhythm to it compared to any content purchase type of service model.
Started at 6:30.
What should I was supposed to call 5:30?
Is it at 6:30?
5:30. Yeah. Actually, no news. Yeah, some people were like.
Vijay said.
So what July is trying to do is use the changing medium of the phone to create the infrastructure
to allow for mobile retailing, where you can shop on your phone, you can go and look at new services on your phone and buy them in a very user-friendly way, where we connect the handset, the mobile operator, and all the different businesses who want to sell services to the consumer. So what we build out is called an integrated mobile marketplace, which allows different kind of services providers to connect with mobile operators and reach the consumers and provide different services on the handset.
Hello? We're coming. Sometime soon.
Okay, I'm going to come over here. I'll show you something really cool. Have you seen this movie called Meet the Parents? This is sound from the movie. This one's called Bomb and Plane. It's not actually blanked out. It has this little lips symbol on it. Okay, I'm going to buy this one. It has this thing called the e-wallet, which I think is really cool. And it applies the charge onto the e-wallet. Cool, huh?
Not so cool.
Captain, I am detecting an intruder. Captain, I am detecting an intruder. I am detecting an intruder. Captain, I am detecting an intruder. I am detecting an intruder.
Umesh, it is not coming because of that UA Prof actually.
UA Prof is coming with user agent. It's coming with you. It's a proper valid request. How's this coming up? Now it's updated. Is he accessing my Vodafone network? No. There is no record? Okay. How will it be handled if there is no record at all?
0-0 भेजेगा 0-0 भेज रहे हैं 0-0 भेज रहे हैं इसका टोटल हाँ
there is no record
हैंडल तो मुझे पता नहीं
but at this point listed, even if I remove list and try to go to preview it has got some item here, some other items also in between loaded, so I can't, my preview screen is like anywhere like this.
Oh, we can do it with the title label on that.
Players who had this rich, compelling content, either on the internet or publishing companies, television companies, and so on, were looking at taking their content and moving and providing data services. So the convergence of all of these three was really the opportunity space that we as a company saw when we came into existence in 2001. And the problem there was, with all of these things changing, there was a requirement, if you will, for the glue, something that would tie in all of these various developments, the various pieces, and create compelling, scalable data services. Only a finite set of combinations of these capabilities make sense, right? So we predefine that. When we say JB Light for Germany, you define each of these based on the foundation. Then you define the finite number of combinations of these that are possible, which are services.
There is a sequence which will show you a record list. Okay? In that record, you will select a content, you will come to the record list. In the record list, you select something and say gift, which will give you a message, which can be a service specific message. So that's how it will be designed. And it can take some of the configuration things and it can show that, which gets downloaded through OTA.
And that
being able to get that level of discipline and only being able to deliver, launch those services where we've been able to do that is the only way we can scale the business.
All the knowledge that is required to build a business, we've been able to use that along with our technology, which was and continues to be cutting edge, to build really an end-to-end managed services business.
The foundation iTouch is giving us and the foundation we'll get from MobileView might be similar, but we're not sure. Now, if that's not happening, then you're essentially creating a product for iTouch.
So what we've done, and just we'll again pull up the roadmap and look at it, is that one of the things we've said is we can only do one such customer per quarter.
One custom foundation.
One custom foundation where it's not one of the foundations that we have chosen, but the sales brings a customer who has got his own foundation, and we got to figure that out and implement it. We'll only do one per quarter. And you define the offering tied to the specific foundation you're implementing for.
From an external communication point of view, we don't need to get into level of detail right away.
Because we should know what they can go and sell. Let me give you a classic example. Let me give you a classic example.
In any field, retailing is important. The way any goods or service is packaged and present to the end consumer is important. It's most important in case of a mobile phone because it's a very small form factor device. There are a lot of other dynamic factors like user identity, user context, time of day, etc., which all become important and could be important inputs into the decision to for the consumer to consume a content or a service, and hence for the retailer to present the most appropriate service at the most appropriate point in time to the most appropriate consumer. I'm just worried no Rajesh, no Jesse, I think it's a question of communication. It's not a question of
very specific.
But my concern is having a product portfolio of Rajesh, you can have offerings many, but we have products so many is my concern. Rajesh, it is a terminology because people understand the field a product in a way, and if you totally change the definition of a product, only way there will be a lot of confusion in the field.
The customer wants to know exactly what he can buy. That is the product as far as the customer is concerned. We can call it offering, we can call it whatever we want it, but that is a saleable unit. And we have to create a proposition around it because the proposition might significantly change if you don't have flexible charging. It might significantly change. It might be a completely different proposition. So when the proposition changes, it's a different product.
So right now FGS service, it is defined collection of content, the prices for that content, the dynamic, the locker and accounting. So these are all the things which will be configured inside that. If there is a retailer specific configuration, it will be handled dynamically.
How do I still see, because we're saying doing a store, doing an end user service, somebody is considered to do the flows of that.
Next slide.
No, this is, Jesse, I'm not talking system, I'm looking how it's going to fly on the ground. Understand how part of
interface will look like.
No, how is this going to be realized within the company? And who's going to play what roles there is what I'm trying to understand. Only if you understand that, then will I really grasp this whole thing.
You can even probably mail him something and ask him to scratch card and do it. It's not the point that whether you can achieve it or not. The question is, can it be achieved in a way that can be practical and meaningful?
And profitable.
And of course profitable. We have chosen people who have worked in those geographies before. So understand the needs of those markets before they moved back to Bangalore to work out of here. But when I say work out of here, they travel a lot to the geographies. We also have a lot of local presence in those geographies, people who feed back to those teams. But given internet and availability of access to information today, it makes a lot and communication tools. It makes it a lot more easier. But having said that, it's still going to mean a lot of very fluid mobile workforce and late hours.
Hi there.
Hiya.
Good news, SMS is going out tomorrow.
Banners are going on the web a little bit later on today. TVS are Wednesday.
I said that we could get it up and running 6 weeks from that time.
6 weeks from the time they signed the MOU?
Yeah, 6 weeks from the time they agree the MOU, yeah.
If we can do it earlier, it's for us to do that, right? That's what I hear, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
From day one, we've been a multi-location distributed company. A lot of business activities happen in Europe. A lot of sales activities happen in the US. and a lot of product building activities happen in India. So it's a functionally distributed company where we have senior management distributed across all the 3 locations.
Martin, could you tell me who you're talking to at Flytext?
Toby Bairnwald and Jonathan Hum. Jonathan Hum is the account director for the company.
Right.
And Toby is the commercial manager, seems to be one of the driving forces in the UK.
One of my classmates was an account director, I think, at Flytext. So maybe we can take this offline, and maybe we have one more contact in the company.
Okay, that would be useful. Always useful.
So, Karthik, I had a couple of questions. Do we know what storefronts they're going to be using and how they're going to promote the service?
It's going to be primarily based on their existing web storefronts. I think they have a couple of URLs, one of which is mobilegaming.com and another thing called govegas.com. So the primary storefront will be that, as well as SMS push messages. And through that, there'll be a detailed stepwise instructions to the user on which what keyword to send to which shortcode, both of which will be ours, and then to get the bookmark and download the game.
Sorry,
so that's a primary storefront / marketing they're going to give us.
I didn't understand. If it's our shortcode, they're going to promote our shortcode?
Yeah, Rajesh.
So their primary advertisements and all of that is for the website or for the website?
Website, yeah.
It's for the website only, okay.
I have a cook and a maid servant at home. We have this huge army of office help here who are local people. We buy local goods. We have a caterer who's local. We have a shuttle service run by a local tourist company. So why we are all local. We all live in Bangalore. We go to the local pubs. We go to the local restaurants. We buy the local clothes. So we are very much kind of the local economy. And no way I think we are divorced from it. It sort of betrays a mindset that something very dull and thing is what India is. It is also India.
At some point in time, things will start sort of equalizing, right? You reach an equilibrium. It's never about taking one horizontal plane and growing it horizontally all the way. You have something horizontal, then something suddenly goes up, and then it tends to pull other things over. And then quickly you find it reaches an equilibrium, and then your plateau has changed. That's how it grows. And I guess we're going through one of those inflection points right now.
We work with teams in Europe, we work with teams in the Far East, we work with teams in the US, in the East Coast, and in Silicon Valley. We found Silicon Valley culture is the most conducive to bringing out the full potential of a human being in a way that it maximizes the output of innovation. And since we're an innovation-driven company, that's the culture that suits us the most. If you're in manufacturing, maybe it would be the Japanese culture. If you're an agricultural business, maybe it's something else. But for the type of business we are in, we found this to be the most suited culture. So we adapted the culture that goes with what we do as a business.
We're building the AT&T tournament on top of the transactions and everything that we're building for iTouch. So right now for Meet the Parents in Star Trek. In the next couple of hours.
How are you doing it?
Varma and Prasan.
No, I know that, but the client is not...
No client here. This is just the web portal for non-JB devices.
For these devices, it's through client. Those devices, it's through
Because
web
we're not
page.
submitting a client to them.
This date will not get slipped on this one.
15th.
I see that it's max risk point there.
This is the biggest risk point.
The only thing is that whether there will be problem or not, we will not know because it is not complete.
When is it likely to be now?
No, it is
It's
actually
pushing for tomorrow.
tomorrow.
We're pushing for tomorrow. That's why I have it in here. For me, the biggest challenge is to take all the small little problems of organization and process that don't exist in a startup and pull it all together to sort of emerge out of the confusion with a path, the direction. All of these are end of day India time.
So 16th we said we're submitting to ITouch.
To AT&T.
To AT&T. ITouch was submitting when?
ITouch, there's no submission process, Rajesh.
This is what we are submitting, is it? On 15th?
The next refresh is on 26th, which is the day after Christmas, and I don't know if there's going to be a refresh on the 26th.
Then are we going to drop JB at all completely?
No.
So we're going to go for 26th?
See, the thing is, I think us dropping is, I misunderstood your point. Us dropping before Christmas on that days is far more critical for us than it going live on 19th. Yes.
Right. You're sitting with the timelines.
Oh,
okay. Let's settle on it.
Primarily, the person who sees the end effect has to go back and keep checking. There are people to fix it. Just that checking takes time.
Will that work?
Should work the same. iTouch has been verified, so I'm not too worried about that. The only differences are the portal for this is different. There is some whole bunch of additional stuff which is there in AT&T. Bottom line, tournament is 2 days, Rajesh. Tournament is 2 days. To get it, AT&T tournament, best bet to get it actually working.
I thrive on challenges. I thrive on, stress scenarios. That's when I come out on top. If you give me a piece of work which I have to do and I've got 10 days to do it, it takes a day to do it, I'll probably be working on it on the 10th day. Right now, nobody has thought through all these scenarios because it's not so simplistic in terms of what happens after the first free trial.
No, except for subscription, do you know anything else? Like, that's what I want to know.
It's not easy to understand explicitly from the wireframe, though all the information is there. It's lots of pages. It will take some time for somebody to understand and check it. That's all.
See, the culture actually gives the shape to your quality. And whenever you want to make some global company, it doesn't matter wherever you are. And if you really want to achieve those levels of the quality, dedication, innovation and all, which actually comes from your culture in the way you work with your dedication and all this, I feel it should be same in July and in Silicon Valley companies. It is not because of we are following them, it is basically the absolute which is there in front of us, they are saying. It's a global product which has come out from the Indian brain, so that's how it is.
These guys are doing a 100-slide presentation. It's a 100-slide.
Don't that to be precise. If I
We'll send you a conference key by any chance?
Please take care of the conference.
To join your conference now, please press 3. Für dieses Themaleitung drücken Sie bitte Please enter your 6-digit conference key.
No number is it?
It's a German number. Please, whether I can access the number from India? Yeah, I can.
No, it's important.
Huh?
IP
but it requires that 6-digit conference key.
You could call it an Indian company, you could call it an European company, you could call it a US company. And interestingly, when you go to Europe and we pitch, we talk ourselves more as an Indian company than as a US company because for them it strikes a chord. They've heard a lot of India, a lot of technology work gets done out of India, then here's an Indian company coming with that. So that in a way it becomes a differentiator for us in Europe when we go, when meetings I've gone to, we talk of ourselves as an Indian company.
Same one, we've added some slides. and more.
But every note say cover பண்ண போற நீ?
I don't think we can. Because this is MTV, right?
Oh, another senior music industry expert, huh?
Senior music industry expert, and he knows the guys. He knows the guys.
Oh, அவங்க பைசா கொடுக்கணுமா? Okay. Huh? Monthly? இது மட்டும்.
Consulting basis. Bringing this global nature of the business and the global presence that we have, and understanding the strengths that this global company really brings to us, and then weaving it, if you will, into the DNA of the company, the culture of the company, right? Which then allows everybody to think and act and work globally is more important than just having a presence. The presence is important, yes, because that's what gives you the little footholds, if you will, in each of these countries.
Sure. I think we can stop for
I never think of July as an Indian company as such, and it is not the fact that we are producing a world-class product out of India which makes me proud. It is a company which is founded by Indians and yet is able to fit into the mold of the global company. There's a common perception in the industry that the guys in charge in an Indian company are always either NRIs or foreigners. And India provides the low-cost base for running their operations. And that is the mold that we are trying to break. It's sort of like a join the club model. Absolutely. That you join this discount club with which you get a certain amount of content for free, which is predefined. And for the others, you get heavy discounts.
As long as you're a member of the discount club, you have access to the goods and services that the disc club can't have, right?
A lot of people are looking for ways to differentiate themselves from the naive subscription model, which is really buy a subscription and you get 2 games for free and that's about it.
At the end of the 30 days, they let their subscription lapse. They come back and resubscribe, download game A again. That's not considered a new use of the game in terms of our payout to the content.
Because user right, user copyright and locker model. It's interesting. So in this case, it works very different economics for them, yeah. Because people in this case will download all the games.
Right.
The typical impression that the outside world has about Indian companies is that they work from India because it has a low cost base. The impression that July is trying to create is that we work from India because India has highly skilled people in this field. Because we are providing a free service after that, there's no reason we can't apply a small charge to it. But the key really is pricing. How much should we charge for that one message?
First usage, going completely free, and then on an ongoing basis as he's trying to play more games, there's a charge for trying out new games. Is one possible variation.
He's expecting that he's get ripped off anyway. If someone's treating him first saying, well, there's some cost, you have to pay it. We don't charge you like €2, it's just 49 cents. Just
the revolution is innovation happening in India.
This should happen within Source URI.
Global innovation happening in India. Not to say that India hasn't been innovative in creating technical products, but all of that innovation has come from centers of multinationals that work from India. That is innovation of one sort, but innovation that enriches the local entrepreneurs is something that hasn't happened so much in India.
Which concern about getting the transaction?
July is one of the pioneers of a new revolution.
I think at some level you see a segment of people across the world who are evolving into more global citizens of some kind. Across the world, and this is not really specific to any country or geography. People are traveling and living in other geographies and working from other geographies, where your life is a little geography agnostic.
Everybody.
People of this layer across the world who travel and lived and worked elsewhere, appreciate other cultures, learn from other cultures, and adapt to absorb things from other systems and cultures, start having a common personality which is more ubiquitous across people, like similar people across the world. And that's the layer you relate to most. I may not relate to people who are not with that mindset and with that exposure and the level of openness to understanding and learning from other systems and cultures. So in that way, I see myself part of that subgroup. I call them subspecies of the population of the world who think like that.
Discuss the whole area.